a guy who's chronically unemployed, and the only way he thinks he can get a job is to kill all the other applicants for it, which is such a fun and exciting concept for a kind of like horror movie comedy. Don't exactly know, but I'm interested to see how he walks that fine line.
Kill was made in the intention, like when you watch Kill, the first half is not brutal. Something happens in the intermission that makes the second half brutal, which is pretty smart filmmaking.
Over the last few years, they've been proven right. The market has been responding a little bit better. The Disney Channel, or not Disney Channel, the Disney remakes have made a little less money each time, but still enough to keep making them, which is why we see the Lilo and Stitch one coming out, and then still the Snow White movie, which I don't know if they want us to see at this point, but they're gonna have to do it, and it's gonna make some money.
I think the Superman trailer looks really bad. I know I'm in the minority on that, but I think I'm not optimistic. I'll say that.
James, I'm with you on that, so I'm part of that minority as well.
Oh, let's go.
It made me work my ass off on one mission after another.
Every time you die, we learn something new, and humanity moves forward.
Hey, hello everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of the CC podcast by RecoBee. I am your host Dipankar. So we are also joined by our CEO Jamal, who is here, and we have a great amount of critics with us. They are in Instagram as well as in RecoBee as well. Then they will introduce themselves as well. So this is our first roundtable of 2025, by the way, and I guess I would want each of you to introduce, if it's fine, the critics.
My name is Hunter Friesen. I run the account The Cinema Dispatch and thecinemadispatch.com, and I've been on the RecoBee for a little bit, on the app for a while, since smaller days it feels like, so now it's good to see growing large and now into podcasting territory.
Thanks Hunter. Yeah, I think James and Ankit, I think, we did movie rating and ranking, and they were Francis. They all three were in the last podcast. So, Cinebuddy, can you introduce yourself?
Hello guys, I'm Cinebuddy. So I've been here on the RecoBee app for quite a long time and reviewing movies all day, all long.
Oh, how can we call you? Do you want to be referred as Cinebuddy, or do you want us to call us by any name?
Yeah, just call me Buddy. It's cool.
Okay. That's great. That's great. Yeah. Thanks for the intro, folks. That's really nice of you. So I think we had different topics which we kind of wanted to discuss, on this particular podcast, and I think we kind of had a survey also. And you folks decided, we have the winner. So in today's episode, we'll be mostly discussing about the most anticipated movies of 2025 with all the esteemed critics, right? They have been with us for a very long time. Right? So this year just got started anyways, right? So we have so much lined up this year. So firstly, we have, there's a good set of Marvel movies coming in, and then, there are some reboots as well. If I remember, I think Cinderella may be a reboot as well. And I think apart from that, How to Train Your Dragon. So that was an animated movie, which is supposed to be released in a live action adaptation. I personally am also looking forward to that movie, by the way. It's a really great movie. So I think that we'll just get started. So the first discussion which you want to open up with in this episode would be basically, emergence of original sci-fi narratives, right? So I think there's a movie called Mickey 17 which is going to release, right? And it's, I think, from Bong Joon-ho, if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
The Parasite character.
Correct. So here's how is it, right? So the question which I have for you folks is, how do you anticipate original science fiction stories which will captivate audiences in 2025? Right, and what are those unique elements, do these films in general, bring to the genre?
Well, obviously, Bong Joon-ho's one will be the first one out, because we only have a month left, which is crazy to think. It's been almost 6 years since Parasite, so we've been waiting for this movie for a while. And it probably does put a lot of pressure on that film to deliver based on the waiting we've had. So in terms of that one, I don't know. Besides that original sci-fi movies coming out this year, we've gotten to a point where it's hard to think about original sci-fi in a world where Star Wars and Blade Runner and Star Trek have kind of taken over. But and I even technically Mickey 17, I think, is based on a property or a book or series or something. So, but it's original enough that it's not based on a franchise. So I would hope that somebody. Okay, there you go. I think somebody like Bong Joon-ho will make something original out of that we haven't at least seen in movie form. So I'm excited to see the prospect of that.
Yeah, for me, it's already it's also exciting to see a new work from the Korean director, considering that he was Academy Award winner from the last movie he had, Parasites. It was a great movie. So as Hunter said recently, he has a lot of pressure with this movie. Maybe that's why he made a lot of reshoots with Mickey 17. But now the trailers looks very, very promising.
I just want to echo Hunter's point about like original sci-fi in this day and age. It's kind of weird to see a new property when we see so much of like Star Wars is kind of on a cinema break right now, but like last year, probably one of the biggest sci-fi films was Alien, Romulus. So it's refreshing to see something original, and I'm definitely excited for it.
Yeah, original for the cinema at least, because don't forget that it's an adaptation of another book. It's a book called Mickey 7 or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, so it's based on a book.
Yeah. I don't know if I'm going down the list of movies here releasing this year. I mean, the other big sci-fi films I'm only seeing is the new Tron movie, which obviously the last one was okay, but a decade ago. So it's interesting there, and obviously, the very big one around Christmas time
Only
is
a
Avatar.
very few
so
niche
Fire and
liked it a
Ash.
lot.
So obviously, we got big
the rest either
properties in
thought
terms
it
of
was
sci-fi
average
here that
or
are
silly.
like a lot
but
of weight
over
on them,
time,
a lot
I
of stakes for them.
That is big.
Yeah, I personally liked Tron Legacy, so I'm kind of excited for the new Tron movie. I'm not a big fan of the casting they've kept so far. I wish they would keep like more contemporary actors. But I'm still excited to see what they're gonna do with Tron, because it's been 15 years since Legacy came out. So I'm excited to see what are they gonna come up with this time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ankit. Totally agree.
So correct me if I'm wrong. I think the Tron Legacy movie wasn't that kind of a great hit, if I'm not wrong. But I personally also loved that movie. But I think a lot of folks had some different.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Ankit. Yeah.
No, you're right. So when it released, my friend, that was actually my friends and I's first movie that we saw in theater together alone. So that was a different experience of its own. Yeah. But Tron Legacy, the thing with that is that only a very few niche liked it a lot. The rest either thought it was average or silly. But over time, I think people started to I guess appreciate the film more, especially since if you compare with movies nowadays, we haven't seen anything like Tron. Right. Yeah, there is Dune and Dune 2, but the way that Tron Legacy connected to a movie that was made in the 80s, because the first Tron was released in the 80s, which is also another good movie.
Yes.
That was unbeatable, because they actually connected as if someone spent all those years waiting to know what happened to Sam's dad. So I thought that was pretty cool. So.
Yeah, even actually, I'm looking forward to the new review movie of Tron. Yeah, because I personally like sci-fi genre as well. So, to pose that way, the next step or next question which I have, are directorial debuts, right? So I think there are a lot of folks who are coming in this year and having their first movies in the direction of that, right? So, are there any notable directorial debuts on this year for 2025 that you are particularly excited about? Right? Any movie, whatever it is there, right? And what fresh perspective do you think this new directors will introduce to the movie industry in general?
I'm not personally aware of any directorial debuts that's coming out, major release this
Okay.
year. I could be wrong though, because I'm trying to think.
The only one I can think of off the top of my head is the new A24 movie, The Legend of Ochi.
Okay.
I don't recall the director's name, but I do believe it's his first movie. And that definitely looks a bit cliche in what its message will probably be, but I think nonetheless it'll be interesting. I mean, A24 doesn't pick things up for no reason. So
Okay.
I'm definitely curious about that one.
Mhm.
I thought I had stumbled on a good answer, but he got to me 2 seconds early on that one. I am also anticipating the Loki as well, but it is also a different question because usually directorial debuts, there are people who kind of just come out of nowhere and are surprise
Okay.
people with this one because they don't come with the weight of the name behind them. So obviously there will be, somebody who does it. I'm thinking a couple of years ago with Past Lives for Celine Song. Was a movie that was at Sundance, and then people discovered it, and then eventually came out the summer, and people knew about it. But a year ahead of time, I would have never ever anticipated that film until it was pretty much right in front of my face and was like announced that
Right.
this is a new thing that I need to be paying attention to, and I'm glad I did.
Okay.
Well, actually, you're pretty right because when there are some directorial debut, you can see them until the movie is I don't know, some kind of phenomenon, until the movie highlights it in some way. When the movie is good, you can tell, oh, this is a new director that is coming out, but it's really difficult to predict some kind of I don't know, good directorial debut. Even when you know the names, even when you know the movies, it's just when the movie explodes in the audience that you realize about them.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's just as movie rating and ranking mentioned that sometimes it's hard to even like be anticipated for movies for directors we already know, but being anticipated for a director that you never heard of, it makes it definitely a bit difficult for sure. One thing is also you might not even know the movie name depending on how they publicize the movie based on the producer and distributor. If they do a good job, then yes, it can be anticipated, but without them doing that, it's kind of hard to get that new name out there.
Okay, great. So, are you folks into, let's say, regional cinema as well? So, there are a lot of these independent directors and all. So, do you watch out for movies like that as well, coming out? Because sometimes they do make great movies, and I think mostly there would be some movies for which they may have very less budget and they wouldn't have been able to market it properly. So, do you guys look out for those kind of movies as well?
Yeah, I mean, always looking out shapes, sizes, large, small, blockbuster indie film. I'm seeing everything at this point. Honestly, at this point, I see too many films, but that's really not
I think
not a problem.
Movie is the right platform to do, right? MUBI. I guess you guys, if you're subscribing to it, it supports a lot of indie filmmakers or handpicked movies based on which doesn't fall into the mainstream. Movie does that. I think movie is in US as well, correct? If I'm not wrong. MUBI?
Yeah.
Movie?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Hey, Indian fanboy. I think you joined a little late. So we have started on some of the discussions, and I think a couple of questions are rolled out. You didn't miss much, but yeah, welcome to the. If you want, you can give a brief intro of yourself. What's your name? Hobby?
Hey everyone, my name is Himanshu Babul and I am a content creator running the page of the Indian Fanboys. So basically my page is all about the cinemas, but mostly focused on the superheroes genre especially, and also little bit of cinephiles movies like indie cinemas especially.
Good to hear that. A lot of movies you'll expect in 2025 for superheroes.
Yes. Yes.
Literally,
Yes.
one's coming out next month, the new Captain America movie. I'm kind of
Yeah.
excited for that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to see how he does justice to the Captain America role.
Yeah, I'm
When-
also excited to see Red Hulk as well. That's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah,
How
because I
Marvel
was
is going through right now, I don't have much expectation from it.
Yeah, I don't either,
Yeah,
to be honest.
That's
I feel
To be
like
honest,
All the expectations are put in the movie Superman. That's in the middle of the year.
Oh God.
Regarding superheroes, Superman is the big movie to follow, I think.
don't get me started on Superman.
Don't please don't start it from Superman. Please.
I thought I think the Superman trailer looks really bad. I know I'm in the minority on that, but I think I'm not optimistic. I'll say that.
James,
Be
I'm with you on
optimistic.
that, so I'm part of that minority as well.
Oh, let's go. I know. Like I said, I know we are definitely in the minority. But yeah, the lighting is the same throughout the entire. Like it looks like the original Avengers movie, where the lighting is the exact same in every scene. And the idea I get is that James Gunn just wants to introduce like as many characters as possible, and to me it seems like it's going to be a really bloated and poorly visually executed movie. And that all goes without mentioning that last shot in I think it was the trailer that came out at the football game, where David Corenswet's eyes are like,
oh my
he
God,
looks like cross-eyed.
Oh.
Yeah,
You have to consider. You have to consider also the previous movies of James Gunn. For example, the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy and the Suicide Squad. Those movies are actually good in the subgenre of superheroes. And the trailer, maybe the trailer is not so good, but you cannot judge a movie because of the trailer.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of the whole idea of trailers, is to judge a movie before you see it.
So there's two things I would like to say about that. While Guardians of Galaxy is a good movie, I mean, we all know it's a good trilogy, but is it a good superhero movie? That's a little bit questionable because, I mean, you know, Superman is supposed to be an actual superhero movie. Guardians of the Galaxy wasn't intended to be a superhero, well, not a traditional superhero movie, I should say. But yeah, as James said, like, the trailer should do its job, but hey, I mean, if the movie proves us wrong, that's even better, right? Because then you're going in with low expectations, and the movie just, you know, blows you out of your socks, which is like the best part, right?
Of course. And to add on to what you were saying, the Suicide Squad is also not a traditional the Suicide Squad are not superheroes, and Guardians of the Galaxy is like squarely in sci-fi. You can barely really call that a superhero movie.
Right.
Yep. Right.
So I think we discussed so much of revamp. So I think the next question actually comes to that plan, because I think, you know, if we talk about let's say Superman, I think we're speaking of Superman. There have been a lot of revamps on that movie. I think similar to that, even on Spider-Man also they did the same thing. There are different Spider-Man versions, which was played out. So I think that trend is going on, and I think even on this year also we have a lot of these classics which are, you know, particularly being revamped, and things which I remember, you know, I think the Seven Dwarfs, that is being I think revamped, and also there's something called Lilo and Stitch, if I remember correctly, that also is being revamped. So you know, I just want to know your take on this. You know, there are classics definitely, right? And if those classics are basically revamped, do you feel that, you know, on Hollywood specifically, they are basically running out of ideas, or you know, they are too much relying on the reimagination of the classics?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Running out of ideas, maybe.
Okay. So do you feel that these projects, you know, indicate a lack of original storytelling, or do you feel that it actually offers, opportunities to introduce, let's say, timeless stories for newer folks or newer audiences?
I mean, Disney is remaking Moana, and Moana came out 9 years ago now. Like,
Yes.
it's not. I at this point, they're not doing it for a new audience. If they were doing it for that reason ever to begin with,
Okay.
it's getting excessive, and I don't think it's a lack of original ideas on the whole. I think it's just a lack of original ideas getting marketing, because Disney
Okay.
has the money to market a huge remake, and it is getting excessive though. Like, I mean, additionally, I mean, How to Train Your Dragon only came out 15 years ago now. Like, it's the audience is not particularly different, and
Okay.
yeah, I feel it's getting excessive.
I totally agree with James. I'm sorry. I totally agree. I think Disney doesn't aim to new audiences or new ideas. It just have a solid formula to make money, because I don't know. Kids love cinema. Kids love their favorite characters of always, and so Disney are making movie for kids, so they can have a solid formula for them to make money. Just that.
Yeah, it's a little bit with Disney, especially because they have theme parks and other streaming services and other modes of revenue where it all kind of coalesces together. So if you try to do a new character or an original film, you have to do original marketing for the theme park and for this and for that. And by that point, they're putting almost $1 billion into an endeavor, which you would love to see that they try that, because they have the manpower to do it and to make something successful. But when you look at the basically the accounting for that, they just are not able to pick themselves up and actually commit to it. They'd rather look back at something that's already proven to work, that they can guarantee will be a hit, which over the last few years is kind of, they've been proven right. The market has been responding a little bit better. The Disney Channel, or not Disney Channel, the Disney remakes have made a little less money each time, but still enough to keep making them, which is why we see the Lilo and Stitch one coming out, and then still the Snow White movie, which I don't know if they want us to see at this point, but they're going to have to do it, and it's going to make some money.
Okay. Is it that they want to make money from merchandise as well? Probably because that became so old, so they want to get inside the people's head.
100%.
Oh, yes. I would
Right.
imagine Lilo and Stitch merchandise might make as much money as the movie itself. It's, the theme park and spin-offs on Disney Plus and stuff like that. It's a whole... the money just keeps churning after you make a movie like that.
Yep, that's true.
That's
And also, Disney seems to be like resurrecting some fan bases as well. Like, I'm gonna bring up Tron again because I'm part of that niche that liked it. They're gonna hook me in because I liked Legacy. Even though if the trailer for the new Tron movie isn't gonna be great, I'm probably gonna still watch it in theaters because I like Legacy. So, and that's how Disney gets you, right? They target these, existing audience that was already there 10, 15 years ago, and they're just reusing them. Like, either it could be nostalgia or it could be multiple different factors as well. Disney's not the only one that does this, but Disney does do this prominently, or at least majority of the time.
Yeah, you hit the mark when you said the word nostalgia. That's the concept here. They are squeezing the juice out of the nostalgia concept. Even if the movie, the original movie, it's released 10 years ago, 5 years ago, they just aim to nostalgia and the fan base that already exists, as you said. It's totally right.
I think we talked about this last podcast, like about this same concept with sequels and prequels, like just taking out the juice, you can say, and trying to extract as much as possible, right? And then same goes for 2025, you see, right? Old movie, like even I can say Constantine, right? It released so back, and same case with Gladiator, which Gladiator 2 came, right? It was like just bringing the fan base of Gladiator in a new avatar, you can say, with much, and people loved it. That's fine. I'm not too sure if it will be successful for each franchise, but I think this formula is working for them, at least for now. So it's like this year too has been full of sequels. I can see lot of sequels lined up. Same goes for like remakes and reboots, right? So I think the same formula is applied in both cases.
Yep, and to be honest, sorry, traditional sequels is like totally fine. And by traditional sequel, I mean like there's Dune 1 and then there's Dune Part 2. It's not like they're going off of nostalgia, they're just continuing the story. Like, sorry, like in a similar use case, this new Captain America movie, it's a sequel that's not going off of nostalgia, it's just continuing the story. Yes, there's sequels out there that do resurrect fan bases and use those previous fan base, but there's also those traditional sequels that are coming out there that are worth looking forward to. Like in Bollywood, there's a movie called War 2, which is getting a lot of hype as well. So that also is not based off of nostalgia. It's just people genuinely want to see the story progress forward, which is a good thing, right? That's how you want a sequel to be. You don't want it to be a cash grab. You want to see, okay, what's going to happen next in the series.
So I think just a few times that we spoke about regional cinema in general, right? So apart from let's say Hollywood or even I think with Bollywood movies, do you feel that there is any international film or movies which is generating buzz for 2025? And if that's so, how do you think in general global cinema will impact storytelling and production styles in mainstream movies?
Well, I mean, I would say that the more and more globalization, takes on, it's so much easier to have a co-production between, dozens of countries to make one film at this point, and you get a lot of stories where it's a blending of different countries into it. There's always money somewhere for a filmmaker. So I look at somebody on a smaller scale, somebody like one of the films, Richard Linklater is making a film this year that's entirely set in France and in French, and is about the making of the French New Wave, which usually you see a lot of filmmakers that are going from Europe or Asia to America to make their English debut, but he's going the opposite and going over to Europe to make his French language debut. So there's a lot of opportunities like that for smaller scale films to just, there's a lot less money involved, so there's a lot less stakes, and there's a lot more opportunity for creative ideas to see something you've really never seen before in that version.
Yep, I agree with Hunter. With globalization, there's not a particular movie in mind right now, but I'm sure once something gets like popular either on streaming platform, it just picks up like wildfire that, everyone's watching this. Like for example, we were talking about Parasite. Like that's one good example too, from like, I think it came out 6 years ago, which was a good movie. And there's also other regional films that, pick up traction like that as well. Or even outside of movie, there's Squid Game season 3 coming out in the summer, which is also gaining a lot of traction as well. So, in terms of regional, that's another popular aspect, I would say.
I was just going to say, I think word of mouth praise still means a lot. I mean, now it's online, so it spreads faster, but I feel like word of mouth, like recommendations still mean a lot to people. And I guess that's where RecoBee comes in. Because that's really, at the end of the day, that's what this platform is. And platforms like it,
Yeah, and folks like you as well. Definitely. Because you guys are all movie lovers. That also, I think, would help, right? So I think before we move to our next set of questions, to the folks who are just tuning in to our episode, we had done a critics roundtable some time back, and that was mostly, reign of fear or terror, you would want to say, for 2024. Just check out the link below. I think it will be somewhere mentioned over here or on the description bar.
Yes.
Yeah, cool. So we'll go with the next set of questions, right? And I think some time back also I mentioned about that. So animation movies, right? So the first is basically, let's say, there's this movie which I personally love, How to Train Your Dragon, and I think there had been 3 movies of that, 3 series. I forgot, but yeah. So that is
trilogy, basically.
Trilogy, right? Yeah, correct. So I think there's a live adaptation which is coming out, and I think you folks already mentioned it, right? So how do you perceive it? Do you feel the necessity of basically to being done for that? The animation is obviously there, and then you also have live action movies, but was the transition needed for that movie. So that movie itself had a huge fan following, but I just want to know your thoughts on that.
In terms of live action or turning animated movies into live action, is it needed? If I'm being brutally honest, 95% of the time, it's not needed. Because, like, it doesn't change anything that the animated movie was showing, right? It's just making it, you know, I would say live action per se. But there are a few cases that, and there could be good or bad movies that did turn into live action, but their animated counterparts were different. Like, for example, there was a movie like 15 years ago called Prince of Persia, the live action movie. It was different than its, you know, animated counterparts or its, I think it was animated series and video games that it was based off of. But at least it was slightly different from that. You know, when you're going to watch that Prince of Persia movie, either you liked it or not, it was at least different from the animated movie. Whereas if you saw the first Lion King, like live action reenactment, it was exactly the same. Or, you know, 90% of it be the same. So is it needed? Maybe not. But if they're going to make it different, it's going to not only attract old audience, but it can also attract new audience if the movie is good too.
Yep, the trailer looks promising. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I think the fun part of this is to see a real difference. For example, with the movies that are with the animated movies that are in 2D. For example, the old classic Disney movies, the Lion King from 1994, to the live action of a few years ago. That's the fun part, but not, for example, with How to Train Your Dragon, that is a 3D animated movie, and now it's a live action. It's not a big difference, you know. So that's the fun part, at least from my point of view. I don't know, what do you think about it?
I mean, just to note, like, the last How to Train Your Dragon movie came out 6 years ago, so it seems to me that they're trying to capture the same audience and they don't plan on doing anything different with it. But I feel like the best remakes take the spirit of the original and bring somebody's new vision to it. And when you're remaking an animated movie in live action, it's next to impossible to bring something fresh that you couldn't have done in animation, because animation is such a style and it's there to do things that we can't do in live action. It's there to portray things that we can't necessarily do with live action filmmaking. So to take something animated and remake it in live action kind of takes a lot of the spirit away from what the animated film was to begin with.
I think that to make the live action that movie, it's definitely not necessity. But since recently I saw that Disney's remake, which one is I think The Little Mermaid, which live action totally, and it was okay to watch that time. And when I was watching that animatedly and comparing that both of them, so I still prefers that animation movies is perfect, 10 times better than the live actions. So it's maybe that live action is dumb decisions for me.
Okay. Yeah. So over to our next set of questions. I think a few of the folks are from India and few of the folks are from outside India. So I'm just moving a little bit from Hollywood to Bollywood right now. So I think there are quite some Bollywood movies which are lined up for 2025, right? So do you feel if there are any Bollywood movies which, you know, has the potential to probably have a significant impact on international audience as well? And if so, why? I would definitely want to know the thought, you know, from the folks who are outside India right now.
I was just going to say, I feel like kind of like what we were talking about earlier, that word of mouth, like the spread of word of mouth praise is important for stuff coming from pretty much anywhere outside of America that's not like mainly English language speaking. I feel like the like once it arrives to American audiences, that word of mouth praise is really important for it. And if we see that, I feel like we could see some successful stuff.
Okay.
No, that's
I
good.
agree because if you remember when the movie RRR came out, it was a word of mouth, and you said that bring it to the West screens. That was a great phenomenon. So I'm totally I totally agree with James about that.
I agree. And all the film festivals, right? I think it becomes evident if some of the movies get attraction there, whether it's like Cannes or maybe Oscars, or it can be a short movie as well. Like I think a couple of Indian filmmakers won back to back 2 years. The Elephant Whisperers and stuff, right? Even this year, I think one movie is making a lot of noise. All We Imagine Is Light. I don't know, Ankit, if you have seen.
Yes,
But
I saw that.
yeah, I think it has very good
Malayalam
reviews.
movie.
Yeah, and it is based on pretty good. As in, they are made for international audience. Again, a lot of these movies are independent movies, independent filmmakers, not from mainstream film production houses. But that kind of gives a lot of depth to the story telling, and that kind of connects to the international audience a lot. So maybe we'll see much more of these in 2025 as well, because independent filmmaking is growing at a large scale in India as well. So we'll see more of it.
Yep. And like you said, Jamal, it also depends on if the movie releases in some sort of festival, like how there was a movie called Kill last year that released in one of the film festivals, which was a nice movie. In fact, out here in US, those were one of the movies that my colleagues were talking about that aren't so familiar with the Bollywood industry, but they knew about Kill. And actually, when I went to watch Kill, I saw people of different backgrounds watching it. So it was pretty nice to see, other people appreciating a film that's, that's good, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And I think
watched
Kill
Marco.
Marco as well got a lot of, and I think as James mentioned, RecoBee, right? A lot of movies, anybody like same like Kill or Marco. Even I personally watch it because it is getting good reviews or good word of
Yeah,
mouth on
word of
RecoBee.
Word of
So
mouth
I think,
works,
yeah, Kill was a perfect example. Nobody,
Mhm.
as in it was very subtle because it didn't have a major star cast or something like that. But then
Yeah.
it started making waves because the action sequences were very popular. And then there was a news that, okay, John Wick 4 director, right? They bought the rights
Mhm.
for Kill. They bought the right for Kill
Yes.
because of the
Yeah.
action sequences. So it made a lot of waves and people got interested. Why did they buy it, right? So I think it ran good and the word of mouth worked for something like Kill. Yeah.
There is still debating about that Marco is better than the Kill. Kill is the better than the Marco. So I think that Marco is a dumb movie. I think because in the plot wise, it's a basic revenge story. Yeah,
It doesn't have the
it's a
plot, but
basic.
it has the brutality, the violence thing, which was so damn high, man.
Yeah,
I
that
agree with.
mentioning that one of the worst brutality scene which is that pregnant
Predator one.
woman's. That's the worst. That it is
That's the
unnecessary.
I
Definitely.
God.
I agree with Indian fanboys. While Kill was made in the intention, like when you watch Kill, and you can watch it in English as well, by the way, the first half is not brutal. Something happens
Okay.
at the intermission. Sorry. Something happens in the intermission that makes the second half brutal, which is pretty smart filmmaking. Whereas Marco, it felt like it just wanted to be brutal for the sake of being brutal. Like there was no strong motivation or dedication. It was like
They
the
just
makers
want to
just
make
thought,
it
yeah, exactly.
brutal. Yeah.
So then, yeah, so we have almost come to the end of our podcast. But before we close the podcast, I think 6 of you folks are here, right? Ah, yeah, cool. So for 2025, right, there are definitely some movies which you would want to watch personally, right? So what is that movies which you are really expecting to watch or looking forward to watching, and why? So we'll start with James first. Then I think we'll go with Hunter, and I'll just tell now the name. So yeah, over to you, James first. What are the movies which you are looking forward to watching in this year, and why?
I mean, for me, my most anticipated, I know some people are not biggest fans of it, but Mission Impossible is probably my most anticipated film of the year, just because I've become such a fan of that franchise, and like the way that Tom Cruise continues to push the boundaries with his stunts and action filmmaking. I continue to be impressed by it, and I'm really looking forward to the final reckoning, which is the next one.
Awesome. Any other movies which you have list?
I mean, Mickey 17 is a big one for me as well. I'm definitely looking forward to that. 28 years later, too, actually. I haven't seen the second film of that series, but I think that's going to be interesting if that can become like the big horror movie of the summer. Because I don't know. I feel like we haven't had a really, not that I could think of off the top of my head, like a huge like zombie movie in a while, but it seems like people are excited for that, and I'm definitely curious to see how that one goes.
I think there is a movie which is coming. I'm not sure whether that's coming or not. It's still yet to be decided. I think there's a movie for Blade.
Blade?
Yeah, it is confirmed.
Yeah.
I think the Blade
Okay.
by Marvel. Yeah,
Okay.
the
But
date is not finalized yet.
mostly Blade movie will not be come in this year, but mostly it will be come after the Secret Wars, because the
Okay.
Marvel has introduced a newer cinematically, means which is a mutant saga or maybe a supernatural sagas.
I thought Blade got canceled completely, but that's what I thought I had.
Great.
So 28 years later, there was a second movie as well. I thought this was the second one.
So the second one was 28 weeks later. I haven't seen that one, but I think it came out around probably 10, 15 years ago.
Okay.
And I don't think it was as big as 28 Days Later. Like, I don't think it was as successful, but I'm still curious to see it, and I'm definitely curious to see the new one.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, 28 Days Later was good. So that is, let's see.
Yeah, definitely.
So over to you, Hunter. So what are the movies which you're looking forward to this year, and why so?
Well, one of my most anticipated ones is actually coming out in about a month here. It's called Black Bag, directed by Steven Soderbergh, and it's a spy thriller with Michael Fassbender and Cate Blanchett, who are two of my favorite actors. So I'm very excited to see what they all bring together. This Soderbergh's one of those directors who always delivers something different than what is promised, and usually that is always pleasantly surprising. Something else I'm more anticipated in. Park Chan-wook is one of my favorite directors out of South Korea, and he's got a new film about a guy who's chronically unemployed, and the only way he thinks he can get a job is to kill all the other applicants for it, which is such a fun and exciting concept for a kind of like horror movie comedy. Don't exactly know, but I'm interested to see how he walks that fine line. And then I'm also Wes Anderson is one of my favorite directors of the last few years, and I think he's done an amazing job kind of not redefining himself, but really like capitalizing on how incredible he is at handling big ensemble films. And surprisingly, or I guess unsurprisingly, he's doing that again this year with a movie called The Phoenician Scheme, which is like a spy thriller, technically it is described as, but what is a Wes Anderson spy thriller is the question I am very much looking forward to having answered.
Yeah, you mentioned Kate.
Wes Anderson is...
Jamal, go ahead.
Wes Anderson is There Will Be Blood, right?
That is Paul Thomas Anderson.
Oh, Paul Thomas. Okay, my bad.
He also has a new film out this year as well, so that that confusion will continue on throughout the year. But they both make great films, so there's you can't go wrong with either one.
Yeah, one of my favorites. There Will Be Blood. Amazing movie. Like very strong. Okay, I look forward to the other one. Yeah, go ahead, Dipankar.
So what I was saying was about the actress Kate. I think her voice is totally different. I mean, the amount of actresses which I've seen acting, right? Her voice is like a commanding voice. So I think I first saw her act on that Thor movie, if I remember
Oh
where I
yes.
saw her. But yeah, and the way that the portrayal of the whole the character was really great, and the moment she spoke, I was like, okay, this is really great. I mean, the voice which she has is very deep. I'm not able to say what kind of voice it is, but I really love that voice.
Mhm.
Yeah, good. I think going forward to Ankit, I would want to know what are the movies you're looking forward to and why.
Sure. Yeah. I have a long list, but I'm gonna shorten it down to just a few.
Mhm.
In Hollywood, I'm gonna say I am looking forward to the new Captain America movie. And I'm guilty for this, but the new Tron movie as well. I'm part of that niche that no matter how they make the Tron movie, I just wanted always a Tron
Same here, same
sequel.
here.
So those two, and I'm slightly excited for Five Nights at Freddy's Part Two. The first one
Mhm.
was decent. I know it's based off a video game, but I'm still hoping to see what are they going to bring new this time, or I mean, not new, but like what are they going to show this time?
Okay.
In terms of Bollywood, definitely War Two. That's been getting quite some hype as well. It's going to be interesting to see how they continue that saga forward. Um, Along with that, I guess Badass Ravi Kumar is also getting a little hype
Oh
too.
God, oh God, my most
Boy, that's
And
one going to be most debatable.
yeah, and then Tama seems interesting too. Tama has a
Okay.
interesting
yeah,
cast with Paresh Rawal, Nawazuddin
yeah.
Siddiqui, Ayushmann
I used
Khurrana. So
it's
that's gonna be
about
interesting to
vampire,
see.
right? Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, great. So yeah, over to you, movie rating and ranking. What are the movies which you're looking forward to and why?
Well, there is a lot of directors to follow these years, as Hunter mentioned before. Soderbergh is it's releasing a new movie. Ryan Coogler also with Sinners. Yorgos Lanthimos is releasing another movie. But to me, uh, maybe Mickey 17. It's a great movie to follow because I'm
Mhm.
a great sci-fi fan, and also I cannot. Leave apart the superhero subgenre. So
Okay.
the Fantastic Four, maybe also Superman, and in the end of the year, Avatar, because James Cameron franchise is a it's a great franchise to follow. So let's see what he has to show us in the end of the year.
Okay. I think the Fantastic Four would be the third revamp, if I'm not wrong, right?
I'm sorry, what?
Third reboot.
So the third reboot, sorry, not
Yeah,
revamp,
but
reboot. Yeah.
Yes, it's
Uh,
some kind of reboot.
yeah,
It's a movie from the 60s or something like that, but it's some kind of
yeah, the
alternative universe. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
yeah,
Cool. Cool. So yeah. So hey, over to you, buddy. I think he told us to tell
yeah,
him, buddy. So yeah.
yeah. Most anticipating movie of mine was Badass Ravi Kumar, as Ankit said.
Okay.
Yeah, just joke.
Okay.
Mostly I'm waiting for Shah Rukh Khan King.
Okay.
Yeah, and this year on Eid, waiting for Salman Khan Sikandar. I hope
Okay.
he'll make a comeback for sure.
Yep.
And as Hunter said, James said, sorry, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, because it is the final part in the franchise, so it could be a worth watching.
Okay.
And there's a
Great.
lot of movies like I'm waiting for Mahayudh. You know, have you heard about Mahayudh Sri
Mhm.
Universe? The Sri Universe, the
Yeah.
end game,
Yeah,
the end
that's
game of the
coming
comedy
out
Yes.
universe.
3 years later. I
Okay.
Infinity
think.
War
Yeah.
Endgame type.
Yeah,
Okay.
is
Okay.
the end game of the horror comedy universe.
So
And then
is it
Priya
coming? Is
coming
it
back
coming
with
this year? I don't
Hera
think this year, right? Not this year, right?
No,
Yeah, 3
it's
years.
not
In 3
this
years.
year,
mostly
2027, I think, somewhere around.
27. Oh, okay.
27,
27 or
28.
28. Yeah.
Yeah, long time. That is.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
think
I'm
Maddox is doing quite on that universe. They are doing a lot of big.
Yeah, lot of build. And now I'm waiting for Hera Fairy 3 as the OG director is back. With Priyadarshan is back, as you guys know.
Yeah,
Hunter
yeah,
days
even
are like, what are they talking about?
okay. Uh, yeah, so that's really a cult movie, at least in India,
Yep.
for James and Hunter's and movie rating. So it's basically a very cult humor kind of a movie,
Yep.
and I think we had two of it. The third one we're looking forward to. I think we were always told that it is in the making, it is in the making, and it's finally gonna come right now. Yeah, cool. So yeah. So lastly, Indian fanboys. So what are the movies you are looking forward to this year?
So there are very lots of movies, but my
Mm-hmm.
top three anticipate movies. First one is that obviously Robert Pattinson, Mickey 70,
Okay.
and second one is the Mission Impossible of Tom Cruise, and the third one is the obviously the James Gunn, the Supermans. These are the my
Okay.
top three anticipate movies.
Okay. Great.
And fun
Any,
fact is that when Black Adam was came that time of post credit scene, which one is Superman's Henry Cavill as the
yes.
act as a
Yeah.
Yes.
Superman. Even I was that kind of a fan that started to creating a story pitches like a pre-writes of movies that when the Man of Steel 2 will announce how it will be works. So it was a
Mm-hmm.
sort of like a light-hearted with the family reunion type. So
Mm-hmm.
my story of that this speech is like a Louis is pregnant, and Lex Luthor is the becomes the mayor, and Lobo is the main villains. And we got to see the Superman's cousins, which is Supergirls, Kara's between their relations. So it was a sort of like a light-hearted with a family reunion movies. But
Mm-hmm.
sadly, it's shelved, and the David is taking the mental. But
Yes.
I think Superman's of the James Gunn movies is going the same direction like my.
Okay. Okay.
You should be
So
the
we are
writer
getting
of
a
movie.
yes.
Sorry.
You should be the writer of Man of Steel too. What are they doing?
I have created lots of fan fiction, whether it's Spider-Man's Noise series upcomings this
Yeah,
year,
no,
especially Noise series. I'm
yeah,
looking forward that series.
Okay. Cool. I think with this we have almost come to the end of our podcast episode, and thank you everyone. Thank you for taking out time and being on this critics roundtable. We look forward to hosting you again on the upcoming critics roundtable, which will have lots of this roundtable this year. I definitely would want you to be there as well. Cool.
Sure.
So thank you again. Thanks for all the pointers which you had. Right.
Yeah, yeah. And
And have a
hopefully,
great weekend.
whichever movies you guys see, I think reviews. Let's put down the reviews and let us know so that we are also interested. Obviously, a huge credit to US critics, right? James, Hunter, movie rating and ranking, or Ankit, because a lot of movies get released in India later, right? But we get the reviews first, so we know
Yeah,
what
Yeah.
to watch when it gets released in India. And I
yeah,
think Hunter, a lot of you go to film festivals and all right, and there it is released much before as well, much before the normal release. So I think that's a huge bonus for us to kind of market or kind of ensure that we watch it, our users watch it. So it's a really big deal. Yeah, Ankit, you were saying something?
No, I was just curious. You two didn't answer your own
Ah,
question. Anticipated.
I'll go first, and then Dipankar, he's the host, he'll complete.
Okay.
So for me, I think I didn't know that then one battle after another, I searched for Paul Thomas Anderson. I'm like, so if this comes in 2025, that will be something which it starts Leonardo DiCaprio. So I don't know what to expect. It will be amazing. In Hindi, I'm waiting for Jolly LLB 2, 3, right? Because I think both the Jolly LLB series was amazing,
Arshad Bhat.
and I think I'm like Akshay is like I love Akshay in no matter how many flop movies he gives, but the timing of Akshay Kumar is amazing. So I'm just waiting for him versus Arshad Vasi in Jolly LLB. That is the second one. And then rest I'll leave you to guys. You guys, I've heard so much about the was the first movie which we even Mickey is 17, right? So I think that
Yeah.
goes top to my list as well, because Parasite, I love Parasite. So that is something which I'll wait for. Go ahead, Dipankar.
Yeah, cool. So I'm a big Marvel fan. So definitely, I'm not going to miss out on any Marvel movies which are coming out this year. Obviously, starting with Captain America, which is there, and there I think two more movies. Obviously, Fantastic Four as well, because I had seen the older two, and I want to see what is there in this one as well. And apart from that, Mission Impossible, I'm a big fan of Tom Cruise, and I have seen all his MI series, so don't want to miss on the sequel as well, right? Mickey 17, obviously, there's a lot of trailer going on, and I've seen it, and I kind of liked it. Now, How to Train Your Dragon, I would want to also watch it to see if the story is same or it's different. And also, if it's, I'm not sure if it's coming on 3D or not. I think it's probably coming on 3D, but I want to see how the live action 3D comes out. Right, so these are the movies which I'm looking forward to. I think Hunter mentioned about the Steven Spielberg movie, right, where Kate is also there and Michael Fassbender is also there. So that also I would want to watch and see how it is, because I'm fans of both the actors and also of Steven Spielberg.
No,
Right.
it's not a Stephen Spielberg. Uh,
Okay,
it is
I heard
directed
it
by
wrong then.
Steven Soderbergh. I think
Okay,
Steven
okay,
Soderbergh.
okay,
But I think
okay. My bad.
it seems to be a very good as an theme. So yeah, it looks
Okay,
to be very, very interesting. Yeah.
cool. I don't know Hindi movies in general because I don't watch much of them, but definitely whatever is coming through, I will take the suggestions of my wife and then I'll just go and watch them. That's it. So yeah, cool. But it was nice interacting with all of you. Taking out time and have a nice weekend as well. I think for all of you folks there, I think in the US also it'll be around probably 3:30 or something like that right now in GMT. Yeah, I'm not sure about the time, but yeah. Good. Thanks a lot for your time, and it was nice hosting you out here. And take care. Right, and
Yeah,
for all
yeah.
those folks, yeah, and for all those folks who are watching our podcast, if you want similar content like this, you want to know what's going on in the movie world, want to know the thoughts of our critics as well, do follow us on RecoBee channel, right? And subscribe to us and do comment on the video as well. Thank you.